Welcome everyone, today we have a special build guide for Diablo 4. Now looking behind me, you can see a Barbarian that is about to clear tier 100. So in this video, what I wanted to do is, I want to make a video about a new Barbarian build that is popular in the Korean meta. And you can see on the YouTube video replay over here, he was able to clear tier 100. So there are several YouTube replays, and what I want to do is I want to show you guys briefly of his gameplay of the fights with bosses and also against enemies. And at the same time guys, I have been testing this build myself to some mixed success. There are some parts I'm doing pretty well. You can see I can deal with most of the monsters in tier 90, but I still short on some of my gears to complete my run for tier 100. So yes, I have been testing this build myself as well, and I'll show you guys my build variations. Now currently this build is coming from a friend over here who I cannot pronounce his name, but if we come over here to have a look at his replays, you can see that this is a Whirlwind Barbarian, and this is a quite tanky and also durable Barbarian. There are a few interesting parts about this Barbarian. The first thing is he's not really chasing anything with swapping gears, which we can still swap gears, but you can see that he is fairly durable, and he does some decent damage against tier 100 monsters. The second thing we can notice after we look at the build is this is a very special Korean meta stat heavy build, and let me show you guys over here. So what we do is, so you can see that our Barbarian friend is currently sitting on 1800 strength, over 600 and 700 of all stats. His attack is about 7600, over 10,000 armor and 12,000 HP. And if we do come over to my own character over here, you can see that I'm getting close to his stats. My armor is over 10,000, just a little bit short, life is a little bit short, and attack power is about 400 short. I'm trying to duplicate and also test out the build. It seems like I'm very durable, but I'm still missing one of the crucial gears. I cannot roll for the life of me guys to get this particular amulet to +2, and this is the final piece I'm missing. I'm currently using the amulet that provides me with damage reduction, but the Korean meta wanted everything to have plus armor percentage, so I'm missing about 10% armor, and this is one of the reasons I wasn't durable, as you guys gonna see in the replay, to tank the tier 100 monsters. And guess what guys, my gold is gone! So yes, I've spent 100 million gold trying to reroll this amulet. I still can't get it. I was so depressed yesterday. I'm gonna make a video about this very soon. But of course guys, I'm sure you guys are here for the highlights of the tier 100, right? Not really see me complaining about my bad randomness. So yes, this is a highlight of the Barbarian. You can see that he is very durable against most of the monsters. He stuns them constantly, and he deals pretty sizable damage once an enemy is stunned. And you saw that his stats are very high. This means he has very high armor, and he can deal damage with Whirlwind. The funny part is he's using kick as the direct single target damage. I have a variation that you don't have to use kick, but it's very fun to try kick as well if you want to try this build. So kick is here for vulnerability, stun, and also single target damage. And while he's spinning, he deals a lot more damage, as you can see over here. Yes, you can see that the rotation of his cooldowns and skills are very fluent, and he is very mobile, which allows him to constantly be dealing damage and running away when he's taking more damage while his skills are cooldown. So we're going to talk about this in the skill rotations. Now he did have some missed calls and also fights against the boss where he got one-shotted by the boss when the boss is doing range damage, and we'll talk about that very soon as well. And in the final fight against the tier 100 boss, he did spend about 9 minutes fighting the boss. So do be aware guys, it is not easy as a Barbarian to clear the tier 100 solo, especially against boss that does range attack. Now for those of you who can read and understand Korean, you're in luck, because there's a video which our Korean friend shows the stats of his gears and also his Paragon levels. But for most of us, I don't speak Korean and I don't understand Korean. So what I did was I screenshotted every single image he showed in the video as the build maker and every part of the skill trees and the Paragons. It took me like 4 and 5 hours to screenshot this and follow this through. And it is quite interesting because I want to highlight all the skills that is going to be important, all the legendary aspects that will be important for you to try to clear tier 100 as a Barbarian for this build. Now I have also made my own variations of the build as well, because if you guys have been following me with Hotter build, I made a small variation on the talent tree over here, not the talent, the Paragon tree over here. It is a small variation I will explain to you guys very soon, and also I made a small skill adjustment, which could be interesting. So let's get into the build and let me show you guys everything. Now, similar to all of our build videos, I'll be working with Mobilitics and also provide you guys with a cheat sheet of the summary of the spells and also the abilities and also the choice of legendaries. So make sure you guys check the links below and we'll be updating this build for you guys very soon. Now, because our Korean friend was able to clear tier 100, which I wasn't able to at the moment, so we're going to follow his build step by step. And then I'll briefly talk about my variations and show you guys if you are interested in mine. But his build was able to clear tier 100. So coming over and starting with the legendary over here. So we'll talk about Affix after, but let's start with the legendaries. So everything is translated. If you do want to have a look, I do recommend come over to these videos. Those are a little bit shorter, and if you use Google Translate, you can still see those. But I think it's better if I show you guys over here. So starting with the helmet, he's going with Fortify to gain Fortify while having Max Fury. This is very standard for the Barbarians. For the stats of the helmet, since it's showing, he's going with all stats, strength, armor, and also cooldown reduction. And if you have a look here, this is the helmet I got, which is very similar to what he was using. And this is the stat heavy meta with the Korean players. So notice the helmet, the boots, all the weapons will have all stats and also strength. This allows you to have the maximum amount of stats, which boosts all your stats over 700 and also strength over 1600. Now as for the chest armor, he's going with Iron Skin providing Unstoppable. Because this build is a little short on Unstoppableness, this is really important. And here for the chest, he's going with Total Armor, Damage Reduction, Ranked Challenge and Shout +3 or +4 once you upgrade it, and also Damage Reduction while fortified. Unfortunately, there is no choice over here to select the Damage Reduction while fortified, so keep that in mind. So this is the chest I found which is very similar to his, except over here I have damage reduction to close, while he's got damage reduction to fortified. Now coming over to the gloves, he's going with while berserking, dealing damage allows you to bleed enemies by about 30% additional damage. And as for the gloves, he's going with all stats, strength, ranks to whirlwind +4, and also critical chance. As for the pants over here, he's going with the damage reduction while enemies are bleeding. Notice that he's causing bleeding effect with the gloves legendary, and then he can reduce damage with the bleeding effects up by 20%. Now similarly for the pants, he's going with all damage reduction, damage to close enemies, damage to fortify, which there is an option over here, and also armor percentage. So every piece of the gear with helmet, with the pants, and also with amulet is going with armor percentage. So a small typo over here so you can see the damage reduction and also cooldowns over here. Now I have managed to get a similar pants to what he was using, so armor percentage, close and fortify damage reduction, and also damage reduction. The lower on armor is a little low, but this still works for most of the fights. Now as for the boots, he's going with Unstoppable, providing us with up to 25% bonus movement speed. And to show you guys the stats of the boots, I was able to get the right boots. So Fury reduction, 26 to strength or any higher to strength, movement speed, and also all stats over here. And this allows you to have the most stats with your basic defensive weapons. Now because I was able to get all the stats on the weapons and also on the rings, let's come over here to my character, I'll show you guys the rest. So for the two-handed weapon, it's going with the core skill increased damage by 60% with maximum fury. And the stats for the weapons is strength, all stats, critical damage, and also vulnerability damage. And this is the same case for all the one-handed weapons and all the two-handed weapons. For the second two-hand, he's going with increased damage against stun enemies by 80%. And he is able to stun enemies with kick. Currently, I'm using Barbarian's Wrath of Berserk, but using kick allows us to stun directly, which we'll see very soon. Now as for the other one-handed weapons, he's going with a Whirlwind, increased critical chance by up to 24%. And over here, he's going with the skills increased by 20% damage while with maximum fury. Now the rings are very straightforward, all the short meta barbarians will use those ones. So the cooldowns with both chieftain and also fury gain with the shots. Notice that with the rings, he's going with critical chance, vulnerability damage, critical damage, and also maximum life. This is one of the ways to gain maximum life over 10,000, 11,000 or 12,000 HP. And while you're casting your challenging shot, you're going with 15,000 HP. Now I'm planning to make a super tanky barbarian over 20,000 HP as well using those rings. And finally, as for the amulet, he's going with cooldown reduction, fury reduction, and also +3 to all defense. He's also going with armor over here. So notice my amulet, I was going with damage reduction. and I thought this was a perfect amulet, but turns out this was a meta amulet. And what I'm missing over here is, once I have the amulet, notice that 7% only gives me about, only gives me about 200 armor. I thought this would actually give me more. So what that means is I'm just missing a little bit of armor, but I can't seem to tank this correctly at tier 100. Now, in case you guys are wondering, how long did it take me to change my build and get all the gears? It has taken me 3 to 4 days. The first day I was translating everything over here. The second day I wanted to adjust everything to my own Paragon level. The third day I started buying items, and also the fourth day. And then I tried to build the character. So it's been 4 or 5 days, and I have spent over 100 or 200 million gold to change into those and also rerolling. Unfortunately, I can't get the amulet right, so I'm still missing one piece. Now if we come over to the skill trees to the Koeran friends build, my skill tree is a little bit different because I'm not using kick as much as he does. So 2 points into the basic spells, which you are not using for the Whirlwind Barbarians. Maximum points on the Whirlwind and also vulnerability over here. Now 1 point into each of the shouts, while 5 points are going to challenging shout for the most tankability. 2 points goes into kick, which allows you to stun enemies for 3 seconds and also makes them vulnerable for 4 seconds. You're going with the triple shot healing yourself for 3% of maximum life, and this is the biggest sustain. He's not going with a shout reduction to enemies, and he doesn't need this one because he's very tanky while having the shouts. Now, similar to most of the barbarians, he's going with an increase of resource gain while berserking. Over here, we're going with 3 points into Pit Fighter and also 3 points into Slaying Strike, which allows him to deal more damage to vulnerable or injured enemies under 35% HP. Now here 3 points will go into the increased damage while fortified and 3 points into damage reduction while fortified. Finally, 3 points will be going into the two-handed weapons dealing more critical strike damage, and 3 points into the bludgeoning weapons stunning enemies by 45% with lucky hit chance. And he's going with the Unbridled Reach to deal more damage with Whirlwind. Now, if you guys haven't subscribed, it is a really good time to do so, because I'll be covering tons of Diablo 4 related topics and also videos and also guides. We'll be looking to the top meta builds, non-meta builds, leveling up, and also Paragon tricks. We're also looking to the latest events and also official updates and also changes to different characters and also different builds in the game. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and also turn the notification on, because a lot of you who are watching the videos have not subscribed. You can see 80% of the viewers who are watching our videos have not subscribed, so make sure you subscribe to stay tuned for the latest update for Diablo 4. Now coming over to the Paragon board for a Korean friend. Oh boy guys, you have no idea how long it took me to follow the Paragon board. I picked this one, took me like 1 to 3 hours to do this. So for the Paragon board, what we're gonna do is, we're gonna share the Paragon board as a link to you guys so you can follow directly. So I'll briefly highlight the choice of the glyphs and also the choice of the rare glyphs. So over here, the first glyph is, he's going with increased damage to close enemies and also damage reduction. He's going with both of the rare glyphs, but he's taking the damage side. So this means he's not taking the 50 more armor, but he's going with the 5% more physical damage. But do notice that over here, he's not taking some of the physical damage knots, which in my variation build, I did take those as a variation. Now onto the second rare glyph, he's going with the shout reduction, which is most of the barbarians. So here 1.2 seconds shout reduction over here. And the third glyph, he is going with the critical damage with core spells, which is again, this is a must have. Notice that he's pathing onto the legendary board on the right hand side. This allows him to gain maximum fury and while gaining 20% more damage while having the fortify ready. So there is a small typo on the build over here. Notice over here, this is the 20% increased damage while fortified. Now coming over to the third board, the glyph of choice is that while using two-handed weapons, you gain 8% more damage, and this also boosts the magic knot by 125%. So the highlights over here is he's going with increased physical damage, and also he's going with increased damage to two-handed slashing weapon. I'm not sure exactly why, but I didn't perk into this. I might perk into this just to try, maybe just for the vulnerability damage. I think that's the case. He went over here for the vulnerability damage. Now if we come over to the left hand side, he's going to go with the increased damage while fortified, and gaining the perks over here to gain increased armor and gaining increased critical strike damage. And finally, for the last board, he's going with the vulnerability damage while having, more dexterity. And the final knot he's going for is the increased damage to bludgeoning weapons by 20%. Now notice that he didn't go with some of the lesser knots for the 5% increase of damage. And similarly over here, he didn't go into some of those knots that reduce damage while enemies are vulnerable, which is a little bit strange over here. I think because he had a spare point over here, I think he can go over here. Maybe I missed it. Now again guys, if you do want to follow him 100% of the time, I will have this one available for you guys to be followed exactly. Now for myself personally, if you have been following my hotter build and also my previous build, I have tried to minimize the adjustments. So what happens over here is I basically swap the first two boards together because they're just the same. And as for the third board, instead of taking the side over here, which he went for the increase of physical damage and vulnerability damage, I went onto the left hand side a little bit more. But if you are planning to follow my build, you can use this board as well. Notice that here, I have not changed the gears over here. So those are still for the kick build. Don't follow that. But you can follow my skills or paragons to see a small variation to this build. Now coming over to skill rotations. Finally, I can show you guys with my testing build. So I also show you my mistakes and how I die in the higher tier dungeons. So right away, you need to have your shots ready against most enemies. And you do have a downtime of 4 to 5 seconds. And this is the scary part. Once you have all your shots ready, notice over here I'm taking Berserk as well, but he's using kick. I feel like for Berserk for me, it's a little bit safer and I do get more damage out of it. But if you guys want to try kick, I'll show you guys very soon. So notice that while having my shots, I'm super durable. I have a lot of life healing and we do very good damage over the tier 90 dungeons and we can do a lot. But the downside is if you don't clear the monsters one step by step, if you try to skip the monsters and you're not good against ranged monsters, what's going to happen is you're going to stack up too many monsters. So this is one of the mistakes I made. If you don't clear the monsters step by step and if you're fighting ranged monsters, you're going to have a very bad time. And as you guys see over here, I did not make it. The ranged monsters over here are way too difficult. So coming over to the skill rotation of a Koeran friend, you can see that while gathering enemies, he's going to group them together and he's going to try to maintain the shots. What he's going for is that he wants to have at least the challenging shot ready, and while having the challenging shot, he can then be able to, taunt enemies and reduce the damage. And this is one of the biggest highlights, I guess. But I do think that his cooldown is a little shorter than mine. Is this correct? Oh yeah. Notice that his cooldown is a little shorter. Maybe this is a not updated version. When did he post this one? He posted this one not long, only 8 days ago, right? So this is after the nerf to the shots. But how come his cooldowns are so low? Are you guys seeing what I'm saying over here? So notice that when he casts a cooldown shot, he's down to 14 seconds. So let's have a look at the cooldowns to the spells. So the spells cooldown is 19 seconds down to 14 seconds. Okay, this is after the nerf. So after the nerf, we only got the 6-second cooldown reduction. So 19 seconds, 14 seconds, this makes sense. So it's just like his cooldowns look slow. So the key is having the shots ready. Once you have the shots ready, you can fight. And notice again over here, fighting single target monsters, you kick them to the wall to stun them to deal more damage. And this is the biggest highlight. Now, do keep in mind, guys, as a Barbarian that doesn't build into range defense, there will be fights against the boss, against monsters that shoots range attacks, and just can't beat it. And you can see he's dying multiple times over here against the boss. Because the boss will shoot range attack, and because monsters shoot range attack, you're not building for range defense. So what that means is, there will be times which just can't fight it. So just be aware, there will be some dungeons you can't beat after tier 90 because of those affix. Now hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I'm still working on my way to make a really tank Barbarian for my own tier 100 build. But unfortunately I can't get this emulator going. And if you guys do have recommendations and suggestions for the build, because I did make a variation over here, let me know in the comments below, guys, or send me a direct message. And finally, it's likely I will try the hotter build over the whirlwind build. I just don't find the catch for the whirlwind. But yes, I'll be trying the hotter build, try to clear tier 100 with my hotter build with adjustment. Now, similar to all of the build guide, you get to see a replay of me testing this build on tier 90, tier 92 dungeons. And on the first part, you can see my mistakes of grouping too many enemies together. I should be clearing them myself. On the second part, what you're going to see is this is a tier 90 abandoned mineworks with okay affix. I don't think it's perfect affix, but you gotta see me trying to clear this dungeon. I actually failed because I want to show you guys that you can fail with this build because the monster type you are facing. And you can see me, I play pretty badly. So one of the worst part about this particular build is you want to clear the monsters on your way. You can't skip monsters, and you're really bad against ranged monsters. So do not pick a tier 90 plus dungeon with ranged monsters that is heavily in the dungeon. And here you can see I was nuked down by ranged monsters non-stop. So this is a mistake. Don't try to group too many monsters, clear them one step at a time, and also avoid ranged monsters. We do not build range damage reduction, and this is my biggest mistake.
more fury. I'm not ready yet.
Now before you go, and if you guys didn't know, we have a new YouTube channel. And if you guys haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe and check out the behind the scenes and also fun clips and also more stories about us. And then you get to know me a little more personally instead of just reading the news and also the games, right? So I want to share a little bit more with you guys. So make sure you check this channel out if you're interested about Matt and also Uni. She's really funny too, and she's really shy. So I want to give her a surprise and do a shout out for the new channel to get some subscribers. Thank you guys. I'll see you guys next time.